Good afternoon and welcome back for game number 2 of our doubleheader between the Defenders and Briar Chargers, and we are just underway. Trujillo leading things off for the Chargers against Matthew Eubanks. Pitches a ball, 2-0 the count. 5-1 the final in game number 1 today as the Defenders looking for a sweep here. Line drive, left center field, and that one's off of the base of the fence, and Trujillo has a leadoff double for the Chargers. And Trujillo leads off with that double, and that'll bring Rance Bryant to the plate. Now Bryant was lifted for a pinch hitter in game number 1 in the latter innings, and we wondered, okay, is he hurt? But he is back and now batting in the number 2 spot. And Briar has a runner on second base. Breaking ball from Eubanks in for a called strike. It's 0-1. So 0-1 the count with nobody out. We're in the top of the first inning, game number 2 of this doubleheader. Breaking ball, swung on and missed, strike 2, 0-2 the count. Looks like basically the same offensive lineup for Briar, with the changes being the number 1 and the leadoff batter and the number 2 batter. This one lifted high in the air right side, and that one's going to drift over near the foul line and over near the fence. Not a play. And the count is now 0-2. 0-2 the count. We'll get the alignments to you as we have time. For the Defenders, defensively, Twombly's at short. Templeton is at third. Here's the pitch from Eubanks. Breaking ball, ground ball, sharply hit through the middle and into center field. Up with it is Harris. Harris holds up, thought about throwing home. Instead, gets it back into the infield, and Bryant delivers an RBI single. And the Chargers are on the board. 1-0. Marquardt will come to the plate. So the Chargers, as they did in game number 1, draw first blood. Strike first. And Marquardt, 1-0 with a 1-0 lead, right-handed batter. Pitches inside. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. 1-0 the count with nobody out. We're in the top of the first inning, just underway. We started at 3:09 this afternoon. Breaking ball misses. Ball 2. 2-0 the count. We'll get you the numbers on Dordt's starting pitcher as well. Matthew Eubanks. 2-0 pitch on the way as he's going to try to work out of trouble here in the first inning. 1 run is across already, nobody out. Eubanks this year, 3-3, 35 innings pitched, 12 appearances, 10 games started, so this is his 11th start. 606 earned run average, 40 strikeouts. Throw over to first base, not in time. Count remains 2-1. Catcher is Demers today again for game number 2. Harris is in center. Up the middle, Schlesselman is at second. Twombly is at short. Third baseman is Templeton. First baseman is DJ Kerr. And a base on balls is issued. And the defender's flirting with trouble here. Runners at first and second. Nobody out and a run across. And we will have a mound visit. Jared Jones will talk things over with his pitcher and his catcher. Defensively for Dordt in the outfield, you've got Belcher in left, Harris in center, and McMillan is in right. Game number 1 today. Saul was 1 for 4. So 1-0 our score. Here's the pitch from Eubanks. Misses outside. Ball 1-0 the count. The starter for Briar Cliff is Nick Hayes. So it appears to me Briar Cliff going with their 1 and 2 today. Shorgan Hayes. Here's the pitch. Misses outside. Ball 2-0 the count. I know talking to Coach Eshelman earlier this week when the probability of this game getting moved was in play. He said, yeah, now the short rest or shorter rest comes into play for pitchers, and trying to figure out who would handle that best and who do you have for Friday against Waldorf on the road. Pitches outside, ball 3-0 the count. Need Matthew Eubanks to find a groove here. Eubanks, sophomore from Concordia, Kansas. And here's the 3-0 pitch on the way. Ball 4 and the walk is issued. So Saul works for the base on balls. Bases are now loaded. There's nobody out. Newbeck will come to the plate. All you need is 1, and then you get your confidence. But right now, Eubanks is no room for error. Team trails 1-0. And here's the pitch. Breaking ball, misses outside. Ball 1-0 the count. Eubanks this season, 40 strikeouts, about 1-to-1 ratio, strikeouts and walks. And here's the pitch. Breaking ball in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Newbeck looks back to the home plate umpire. And so 1-1 the count. That one paints the black. And here's the pitch. 1-1. Up high and away. Ball 2-1. 2-1 the count. So 2-1 the count, 1-0 our score. Briar Cliff in front. Swung on, fouled back to the netting. Strike 2, 2-2 the count. Matthew had a similar outing a few weeks ago. Got in trouble in the first inning, then actually settled down and got rolling. Hoping for something similar now. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball outside, ball 3-2. So 3-2 the count. And here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled off and out of play. And the count remains full at 3-2. Well, they're going to get started with the softball game over on the other field in about 45 minutes or so. So 3-2 pitch on the way. Here's the pitch from Eubanks. Swung on, hit in the air, left side. Belcher, long way to run, and that one's going to get pushed out of play. And the count remains full at 3-2. So 3-2 the count. So 3-2 the count with nobody out. And Eubanks trying to bear down and get the out here. Swung on ground ball, past the diving shortstop Twombly into left field. One run is in, another one is coming in. Throw is cut off. And the Chargers with a couple of the runs here. Marquardt scores from second, Bryant from third. Saul advances to second. Newbeck gets an 2 RBI single. And that'll bring Reimer to the plate. 3-0, Briar Cliff in front. Dordt still looking for the first out of the inning. So 3-0 our score around the conference. Let's take a look at that scoreboard. Dordt a winner in game 1, 5-1. Breaking ball in for a called strike. Morningside comes back to defeat Mount Marty in game number 1, 8-7. Softball, Northwestern beat Waldorf 6-1. They lead Waldorf 4-0 in game 2. And nobody else is underway. Pitches inside. Ball 1-1 the count. Doane and Mount Marty are playing softball as well today. So 1-1 pitch on the way from Eubanks. That's in for a called strike. It's 1-2. One and two the count. Well, in the G-Pack, during the week, conference doubleheaders are 2 7-inning games. That's regulation. On weekends, here's the pitch. Friday, Saturday, Sunday doubleheaders. First game is 7 innings. Second game is 9 innings. Unless the first game goes extra innings, then the second game reverts to a 7-inning contest. 1-2 the count with nobody out. And here's the pitch. Breaking ball, hit in the air, left field. Belcher a ways to run. Belcher running, unable to make the play. It's into the corner, extra bases. One run will score. The second run will hold at third base. So Saul scores. He had to hold up to see if the ball was going to be caught. Newbeck reaches third, and Reimer has a run-scoring double. And I believe this is going to be it for Matthew Eubanks. 4 runs are in. Briar Cliff has 2 runners on, second and third. And the Dordt defenders now will have to dig themselves out of a 4-0 hole. Briar Cliff in front, 4-0. Nobody out. They've got runners on first and second when we pick up play after the pitching change. Back with more after this.
Find furniture, mattresses, flooring, paint, and window treatments at your local Furniture Mart. They are family-owned and located in downtown Sioux Center.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Ski-Bout Window and Door, your local window experts. Whether you're building or replacing, Ski-Bout Window and Door has the products, people, and knowledge to get the job done right. See Ski-Bout and see the difference. Today's broadcast brought to you by Prairie Life Chiropractic, combining skill and expertise that spans the entire chiropractic, acupuncture, and physical health spectrum. They want you to move better and live better.
Homegrown.
Community.
Family.
Innovators.
Growth.
Faith.
Legacy.
We are dedicated to egg.
Today's Dordt Media Network livestream broadcast is produced by the students of Dordt University. Thanks for watching.
Due up for the Briarcliff Chargers will be DeVessery. DeVessery will come to the plate. Schmidt is in the on-deck circle. Briarcliff Dordt has not recorded an out defensively up to this point. And here's the pitch. Vandermolen's pitch is a strike. 0-1 the count. Vandermolen got the save in game one of the doubleheader. So 0-1 the count. Get out of the inning without any more damage being done. Swing and a miss. Strike two. 0-2 the count. Vandermolen, a freshman from Pella. Nothing into the count with nobody out. Here's the pitch. Outside and low. Ball one. 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count. Vandermolen. And that pitch is in for a called strike. And DeVessery is retired. First out of the inning. Strikeout number one for Vandermolen.
Now batting number 1, David Schmidt.
And that'll bring Schmidt to the plate. And here's the pitch from Vandermolen. Outside and low. Ball one. 1-0 the count. So 1-0 the count with one out. Overcast skies here in Sioux Center. Started off with sunshine, and now I'd be surprised if we see much sunshine the rest of the day. Backhanded by Kerr. Kerr flips over to first in time to get the out. A run scores. So Schmidt is retired 3-1 for the second out. Newbeck scores on the play. Reimer advances over to third base, so 5 runs are across for Briarcliff. And Padilla comes to the plate. So that ground ball out produces an RBI for DeVessery. So a productive out. 5-0 with 2 down in the inning. Swung on and softly lined into left field, and that'll be deposited in front of Belcher. And Padilla extends the inning with Reimer scoring on the play. And now Trujillo will start things over. 10th batter of the inning for the Briarcliff Chargers. So Trujillo will come to the plate with 2 down in the inning. So 2 down in the inning. Here's the pitch from Vandermolen. Ground ball between third and short. And Trujillo is on with a single. Runners at first and second, and that'll bring Bryant to the plate. And the Chargers, who were limited to 6 hits in the first game. 6 runs on 6 hits here in the top half of the first inning. So 2 down in the inning. This is the 11th batter to come to the plate for Briarcliff. In this frame, Bryant with an RBI single in his last at-bat. Here's the pitch, breaking ball, in for a called strike. It's 1-1. So the defenders, one game, 1-5-1, but Briarcliff getting a little cushion to work with early on here. And before he even comes out to pitch, the starter for Briarcliff, Hayes, will have some room to work. 1-2 the count to Bryant. That pitch is in for a called strike. Swung on, ground ball. That's a foul ball. Past the third base bag into the corner. And the count remains 1-2. So 1-2 the count with 2 down. Defenders go to Forest City on Friday to wrap up the regular season. Waldorf will have something to play for at that point. So swing and a miss, strike 3. Bryant is retired, but not before the Chargers get 6 runs on 6 hits. There were no errors, and they strand a couple of base runners. To the bottom of the first inning we go. Briar Cliff 6, Dordt 0. Back with more right after this.
Find furniture, mattresses, flooring, paint, and window treatments at your local Furniture Mart. They are family owned and located in downtown Sioux Center.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Ski Bout Window and Door, your local window experts. Whether you're building or replacing, Ski Bout Window and Door has the products, people, and knowledge to get the job done right. See Ski Bout and see the difference. Today's broadcast brought to you by Prairie Life Chiropractic, combining skill and expertise that spans the entire chiropractic, acupuncture, and physical health spectrum. They want you to move better and live better.
Homegrown.
Community.
Family.
Innovators.
Growth.
Faith.
Legacy.
We are dedicated to egg.
Today's Dordt Media Network live stream broadcast is produced by the students of Dordt University. Thanks for watching.
Jimmy Twombly to lead things off for the defenders, and Dort's got to get, they got to get some things back. They surrendered 6 in the first inning. Hayes is the pitcher. That is Nick Hayes, 4-2 this year, right-hander. A little bit of a sidearm delivery. That rides in on Jimmy Twombly. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. Twombly, Belcher, Kerr due up. And Twombly laces that one foul. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. So 0-2 the count with nobody out. And here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air, right side. Could be playable. First baseman drifting over and runs out of room as the wind pushes that one out of Saul's reach. So Saul runs out of room over there, and the count remains 0-2 to Twombly. Belcher and Kerr due up next. If anyone reaches, Templeton would bat 4th in the inning. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Outside corner, strike 3, and Twombly goes down looking for strikeout number 1 and out number 1 of the inning. That'll bring Belcher to the plate. Looks like Dordt pretty well mirroring their first game lineup here in the second game. So 6-0 our score. Briarcliff in front. First pitch to Belcher. A strike on the inside half of the plate. Strike 1. Nothing and 1 the count with 1 out. Here's the pitch. Outside and high. Ball 1. 1 and 1 the count. So Logan Harris is playing center field, wrapping up the lineup. That's the one thing about games 1 and 2. You don't have a lot of lead time. Once the lineups get here, you got to hustle. So 1-2 pitch on the way to Belcher. Belcher batting here with the bases empty and 1 out. And the swung on, fouled back to the netting. Count remains 1-2. Belcher today. In game number 1, he was 1 for 2 with a run scored. Struck out once. So 1-2 the count with 1 out. And here's the pitch. And that one inside. Ball 2. 2-2. Belcher started in left field in game number 1 as well, and then replaced. Single up the middle. No. Nice play by the shortstop. Comes up throwing, throws it away. That's an infield single for Belcher. He does not advance on the throw, so no error on the play. And that'll bring DJ Kerr to the plate. So Templeton is waiting in the on-deck circle now. And the defenders trying to get a threat started. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss to Kerr. Kerr. 1 for 3 of the runs scored. Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air, right side. Should be an easy play for the right fielder. Under it, making the play for the Chargers is Reimer. So Kerr retired on the lazy fly ball to right field. Brings Templeton to the plate. So Templeton batting here with a runner on first base. Well, if you're Dordt, you'd love to get just get something back here, trailing 6-0. Here's the pitch. That's in for a called strike, and right now Hayes just pounding the strike zone. So 0-1 the count with 2 down. Here's the pitch. Check swing. And he went around. Strike 2. 0-2 the count. 0-2 the count to Templeton. Templeton 0 for 3 in game 1 with a run scored. And a swing and a miss by Templeton. Strike 3. And the side is retired. Dordt, no runs, 1 hit. No errors, 1 left. To the second inning we go. Dordt trailing 6-0. Back with more from Open Space Park right after this.
For top-notch rental equipment for your next project, look no further than Rental, located in Sioux Center, Spencer, Storm Lake, and Sioux Falls. Rental, your regional equipment rental experts. Visit them online, rental.com, or call 712-722-3928. Today's broadcast brought to you by Flooring and Design in Sioux Center. Whether you are building a new home, remodeling your current home, or wanting to freshen up your decor, we can help make your home as unique as you. Stop in to see us at Flooring and Design.
Premier Bank has always understood the value of family. We recognize that as your family grows, your banking needs change, and we're here to help you each step of the way. We'll create a customized plan for easier and better banking and support you in making the most of every dollar, today and always. Visit epremierbank.com or stop by any of the 5 Premier Bank locations in Iowa or South Dakota to partner with a bank who's ready to grow with you.
Marquardt to lead things off against Lincoln Vandermolen, and Marquardt takes a strike, nothing in one the count. Well, for Vandermolen, his job is to just keep it right here. That goes for the entire team for that matter. Just keep it here and hope that try to get the offense going. Marquardt 1 for 4 in game 1. Walked earlier today. And here's the pitch from Vandermolen. 0-2 pitch, misses up high. Ball 1, 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count. Briar Cliff scored 6 in the first inning, 6 runs on 6 hits. They lead 6-0. Still not a bad day for baseball. And with the 1 o'clock start time, easy excuse to get out of the office and enjoy work in the press box instead of staring at a computer monitor. Far too many days involved with that. 2-2 pitch on the way with nobody out. Pitch clock down to 3. And this one's... And he steps off, gets the reset, I think. Nope. So 2-2 the count right now, and there is a pitch clock violation that was called. If that stands, it'll be 3-2. It looked like Vandermolen tried to step off to get a fresh pitch clock. Now, I am not. So they are going to say ball 3. So 3-2 the count with nobody out. Vandermolen back on the hill. So payoff pitch on the way. Pitch is down to the dirt, ball 4, and the walk is issued. Marquardt's on with a walk for the second time today. So base on balls surrendered, and we will have a courtesy runner for Briar Cliff. From my vantage point, looks like number 7, Jake Cronick.
Courtesy running number 7, Jake Cronick. Now up to bat, number 43, Nico Saul.
And that'll bring Saul to the plate. Saul 1 for 4 in game 1. And ground ball softly hit to the shortstop. The play for Twombly is over to first, and he gets the out, advances the runner in the process. So goes 6-3 on the out there for Saul. Out number 1. That'll bring Newbeck to the plate. So Newbeck batting with 1 down. Defenders trailing 6-0. We're in the top half of the second inning. Dordt won game 1, 5-1. Newbeck 0 for 2 with an RBI in game 1. And the pitch is upstairs. So 2-0 the count to Newbeck. Newbeck singled. Drove in a couple of runs in his last at-bat. Swung on, hits it out of play. And you're going to have to be alert over on the softball field today. Got baseballs and softballs. Probably won't have to deal with any softballs coming over this way, but baseballs definitely off the left-handed batter. Wind's going to help push him that way. Ground ball foul. Strike 2, 2-2 the count. So Shorg took the loss for Briar Cliff in game 1. Sprunk got the win for the defenders. And that pitch is down in the dirt. Count goes full 3-2. A lot of pitches thrown by the Dordt staff already. For Vandermolen, he's thrown 22 pitches. So 3-2 pitch on the way with one out. Runner on second, breaking ball. Swung on and missed, strike three. And strikeout number 3 for Vandermolen. Out number 2 of the inning. And that'll bring Reimer to the plate. Reimer went 1 for 3 in his last at-bat. 1 for 3 in the first game. In his last at-bat, he doubled and knocked in a run. That was the one he hooked down into the corner. And this one fouled off and out of play. So strike one, 0-1 the count. 0-1 the count with 2 down in the inning. Well, that'd be a little boost here if the defenders can get out without any trouble. So 0-1 the count. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball it's in there. Strike 2. 0-2 the count. There I go, anticipating things again. So 0-2 pitch on the way with 2 outs to Reimer. We're in the top of the second inning. And here's the pitch up high. Ball 1. 1-2 the count. GPAC baseball and softball scores. It was Morningside coming from behind to defeat Mount Marty in Game 1 of their doubleheader. Northwestern looking for a sweep of Waldorf in softball play, fouled off and out of play. And the count remains 1-2. Northwestern beat Waldorf 6-1 in Game 1. 4-0 they lead in Game 2. That's in the 6th inning. That's being played in Orange City. Although Waldorf is listed as the home team. So I'm not sure if Forest City, the field, not playable. 2-2 pitch on the way. Mount Marty leads Morningside in baseball early, 1-0. 2-2 pitch on the way to Reimer. Swung on, hit in the air, left field. That's Belcher working with it over into the corner, and Belcher unable to make the play off of the base of the fence, and that'll be a double for Reimer. Belcher gave chase, but was working against the fence and the wind. And he is down as he ran into the fence, it appeared, from our vantage point, over and just right near the 310 sign. And Coach Ian Eshelman out of the dugout. Training staff, Sidney Clayberg also waiting. And it appears that Belcher wants to stay in the game. Cronick scores from second on the play. He had the benefit of leaving on contact with 2 down. So DeVessery comes to the plate. 2 down in the inning. DeVessery in his last at-bat struck out. Defenders trailing 7-0. We're in the second inning. Here's the pitch. In there for a called strike 1, 0-1 the count. Doane and Mount Marty softball, they're scheduled to begin at 5 o'clock in Yankton today. Briarcliff and Dordt softball, they're scheduled to get going here in about 10 minutes or so. We'll keep our eye on that one as the day progresses. 0-2 the count with 2 down in the inning. And here's the pitch outside, ball 1, 1-2 the count. So DeVessery 0 for 2 in Game 1. .333 batting average coming into play today. And that one's high and tight. Ball 2, 2-2. So Schmid waits in the on-deck circle if DeVessery can keep the inning going. 2-2 pitch on the way from Vandermolen. Breaking ball in there for a called strike 3. And DeVessery goes down looking for the second time today. Strikeout victim number 4 for Lincoln Vanderbilt and out number 3 of the inning. But Briar Cliff gets another run across. Briar Cliff gets 1 run on a hit. Also benefited from a walk. And they lead it now 7-0 as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Back with more after this.
You add up all the Wi-Fi connected devices in your home these days, you'll be surprised at how many there are and how much bandwidth they're using. Do the math. It just may add up to needing faster Wi-Fi. Premier Communications has you covered with reliable internet speeds up to 1 gig. Keep everything connected with Premier Communications. Visit us online at mypremieronline.com or call at 1-800-741-8351. Premier Communications. Looking ahead.
German Farmers Mutual, protecting the farm and home since 1891. Northwest Iowa's local insurance partner. Online at germanfarmers.com.
NewTek is your partner for success when purchasing equipment for construction, manufacturing, agriculture, and other industries. Don't miss the opportunity to transform your business and redefine your productivity standards with NewTek.
Drew Araskis will come to the plate here in the home half of the second inning. Dordt trailing 7-0. Araskis, he'll give you his numbers from the first game. Swing and a miss. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. Carson Belcher had a single in the first inning. As we try to remember what happened. So Araskis 0 for 2. McMillan, he was 1 for 2. He's going to bat next after Araskis. Swung on and fouled off. So it'll be Araskis, McMillan, and Schlesselman due up for the defenders in this frame. That one's in for a called strike 3, and Araskis goes down looking. Hayes with his third strikeout. Out number 1 of the inning brings McMillan to the plate.
Now batting number 17, Matt McMillan.
So McMillan was 1 for 2 in game 1. He's the right fielder. He started game number 1 as well and gave way to Gabriel McFarland in the latter stages of game 1. Takes a strike. 0-1 the count with 1 down. Well, Hayes with that lead seems to have found a groove here. Ground ball left side. Padilla up with it. Throws over to first in time. And McMillan is retired 6-3 for the second out of the inning. Brings Schlesselman to the plate. So Schlesselman, the shortstop, will bat here with 2 down. Bottom of the second. Game number 1 didn't take very long as both pitchers really found their groove after the first inning. Spronk got the win. Shorg took the loss. 0-1 the count with 2 down. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2. 0-2 the count. So that pitch is in a ball, 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count. Pitch misses outside. Ball 2, 2-2 the count. Thought the home plate umpire flinched there, and I thought he was going to come up with a strikeout looking, but instead called the ball outside. 2-2 pitch, and that one's in for a called strike 3, and Schlesselman goes down looking. Strikeout number 4 for Hayes, and out number 3 of the inning. Dordt is retired in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. To the top of the third we go. Back with more after this.
Welcome to Sioux Center, Iowa. Life in the center of everything. Where we connect with friends, coworkers, family, and the great outdoors. Knowing that in Sioux Center, you're never far from making the next great memory. And we grow great companies that make cutting-edge breakthroughs to make life better here and around the world. And when it's time to play, we keep friendship, family, and a bright future at the center of everything.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Huber's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning of Orange City. Whether you're looking for repairs, replacement, or maintenance for your air conditioning or heating system, Huber's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning of Orange City will exceed your expectation.
The Greenhouse, located in Hall, Iowa, bringing you amazing coffee, energy drinks, breakfast, lunch, and so much more. A big city feel, only 10 minutes away from Sioux Center, with a second location opening soon in Sanborn.
Seven to nothing our score as we go to the top half of the third inning. Lincoln Vandermolen, who came on in relief in the first inning, recorded all 3 outs. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Breaking ball misses up high. Ball 2. 2-0 the count. Schmid the batter. Padilla waiting in the on-deck circle. Trujillo will bat third in the inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on, ground ball past Vandermolen and sees its way to the outfield. And Schmid with the slow roller. 2 defensive players had a chance at it. The pitcher, the pitcher Vandermolen and Schlesselman, the second baseman, both had chances at it. Unable to get to it, though, and Schmid is on with his third hit of the day after recording 2 in the first game. Padilla comes to the plate here with a runner on first base. He was 0 for 1 in game number 1. And this one sent into center field. Logan Harris, 3 steps to his left, comes up throwing back into the infield, and back in was Schmid. Schmid was all the way over to second base before he retreated. Padilla flies out to center for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring Trujillo to the plate. Trujillo with a runner on first base. And 1 out.
Now batting number 3, Diego Trujillo.
So 1 down in the inning. Throw over to first base, not in time. Sounds like the softball game might be underway over on the field. Heard some chants in the background. You know the softball game is rolling then. 1 out in the inning. Ground ball, weakly hit. Shortstop side, barehanded. Throw over to first base, not in time. That's an infield single for Trujillo. Twombly charged, barehanded it, but ball not hit nearly sharply enough. And Kerr comes off of the bag and knocks it down to prevent any damage from being done. So an infield single. So the last two singles for Briar Cliff in this inning, not sharply hit at all. And brings Bryant to the plate. Bryant today 1 for 2 with a strikeout and a single. He was 0 for 3 in game 1. Pitch misses. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. Marquardt waits in the on-deck circle. And the pitch, outside corner, strike 1, 1-1 the count. And that pitch in for a called strike. It's 1-2. So the defenders, trailing 7-0, gave up 6 in the first. And the 1-2 pitch on the way with 1 out. Here's the pitch. Outside corner, strike 3. And second out of the inning, Bryant strikes out for the second time here in game number 2. That is the 5th strikeout for Vandermolen. Brings Marquardt to the plate. No, and looks like we might have a pinch hitter. Oh, beg your pardon, I have the wrong number written. Number 6, Marquardt. That'll give the official scorekeeper nightmares. Wrong batter at the plate. I had 5 written down for Marquardt rather than 6, and as I look at the scorecard, clearly number 6. 0-1 the count as he fouls it off. He's walked twice, scored a couple of runs for Briar Cliff. 0-1 the count. Here's the pitch. That's in for a called strike. 0-2. 0-2 the count here in the top of the 3rd inning. This game's scheduled to go 7 innings as well. Also, one other note. 9-inning games, there is a 10-run difference rule that comes into effect. 7-inning games do not. So many quirks with those 7 and 9 inning rules. 1-2 pitch on the way with 2 down. Vandermolen from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, softly hit. Trouble. That's going to drop in. Well, nope, drops in for a base hit. Twombly gave chase, unable to make the over-the-shoulder on-the-run catch. Marquardt with the single. And a run comes in to score in the process. Briar Cliff has not hit a ball sharply for a base hit here in this inning. But they do have 3 base hits to show for their work so far. Jake Cronick comes on to run for Marquardt. And Briar Cliff is now up 8-0. 8 runs on 10 hits. Here's the pitch. It's down to the dirt. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. One and 0 the count with 2 down. Saul is the batter. Saul 0 for 1 with a base on balls and a run scored. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 1, 1-1 the count. Defensively for Dordt, it's Templeton, Twombly, Schlesselman, and Kerr from 3rd to 1st. Left to right, Belcher, Harris, McMillan in the outfield. Demers is catching. Here's the pitch. Outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count. So 2-1 the count with 2 down. Here's the 2-1 pitch. In there for a called strike, 2-2 the count. Feel like the strike zone may have expanded over the last inning or so. 2-2 the count with 2 down. 8-0 our score. Briar Cliff in front. Here's the pitch from Vandermolen. Swung on, and that one lined back through the box. Vandermolen nearly gloves it. Instead, it gets through for a base hit. Harris's throw to 3rd. And the runner holds at first, and the Chargers lead 9-0 as Trujillo scores. Chronic advances over to third. And the Briarcliff Chargers doing their damage with 2 outs here in the top of the third inning. And now the Briarcliff Chargers will send Newbeck to the plate. So Dordt won game 1, 5-1, but it's been all Briarcliff here in game number 2. Pitch is in for a called strike, nothing and 1 the count. Vandermolen has been working from in front most of the game in terms of strikes. He's thrown 35 strikes out of 56 total pitches. Swung on, ground ball. He recorded 4 outs for the save in game 1. Dordt down 9-0 here. This is the final week of the regular season for the baseball team. If all goes according to plan, they'll play their 48th and 49th games on Friday. Ground ball, a line drive hit back to Vandermolen. Vandermolen gloves it cleanly for the third out of the inning. Briarcliff puts another 2 on the board. They get 2 runs on 4 hits, and they strand a couple. Briarcliff 9, Dordt 0, back with the bottom of the third inning right after this.
This is Alex with Outdoor Elements. We've been the region's premier landscape company for over 15 years. With our own in-house landscape designer, we create extraordinary outdoor spaces where you will make memories with family and friends. We do all types of landscaping, and we're the region's only certified pool professionals. We specialize in saltwater pools, which are easy to maintain and gentle on your skin. Check out our website at OutdoorElementsInc.com. We make your landscape as beautiful as your home. When you want the best, contact us at 712-476-5299 or email us at info@OutdoorElementsInc.com.
Logan Harris, Chisholm Demers, and Jimmy Twombly coming to the plate. Nine to nothing our score, and Hayes out to work his third inning. First pitch to Harris is a strike, nothing and 1 the count. You talk about pounding the strike zone. Hayes so far today, 27 pitches, 22 of them strikes. Nothing and 1 the count. Here's the pitch. Swung on, ground ball foul. Strike 2, nothing and 2 the count to Harris. Harris went 1 for 2 in game 1. This is his first at bat of game number 2. So nothing and 2 the count with 2 down. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Harris goes down swinging. Strikeout number 5 for Hayes. Out number 1. And that'll bring Chisholm Demers to the plate. Demers will step in. So 1 out in the inning, base is empty. Swung on and fouled off and out of play. Strike 1. 1-0 the count. So nothing and 1 the count. So 0-1 the count with 1 down in the inning. Had a momentary break in the action. Nine to nothing our score. Briarcliff in front. So Briarcliff in the driver's seat looking for a split here of the doubleheader. Swung on ground ball. That sees its way through to the right fielder. And Demers is on with a single. And 1 out. So Demers, we'll have a runner for Demers as well. This will be McFarland. So Gabe McFarland, freshman from Houston, comes on to run. That'll bring Jimmy Twombly to the plate. Twombly struck out in his last at-bat. One out in the inning. Here's the pitch. And Twombly takes a ball. Twombly is a freshman from Chandler, Arizona. He's kind of settled in as the everyday shortstop here in the latter stages of the season. Fly ball right side. Should be an easy play for Reimer. Drifting, and makes the play over near the right field foul line. And Twombly is retired for the second out of the inning. That'll bring Carson Belcher to the plate. Belcher ran into the fence in the second inning. Run ended up scoring on the play. He was shaken up, but stayed in the ball game. Here's the pitch. In there for a called strike. 0-1 the count. McFarland over at first base, and based on Marquardt's throw earlier today, I don't know that McFarland is going anywhere. Here's the pitch. Swung on ground ball, and that's going to see its way to the left field grass. And Belcher with his second hit of the day. And the defenders now with runners at first and second, and 2 down in the bottom of the third inning. So DJ Kerr will come to the plate. Kerr, 1 for 3 in game 1. Flew out to right in his last at-bat. He's a freshman from Lake Elsinore, California. Defenders have got some freshmen who have seen a lot of playing time this year. And a ground ball up the middle, and that'll be a base hit for Kerr. Taking the turn at third, headed for home is McFarland. The throw is cut off. The runners will hold at first and second, and McFarland scores. And the defenders are on the board with Kerr delivering an RBI single.
Now batting number 4, Logan Templeton.
So Belcher now at second, Kerr at first, and Logan Templeton coming to the plate. Templeton, part of that nucleus of young players who have been pressed into action. Templeton is from Bakersfield, California. Templeton playing third base. So with 2 down in the inning, here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1, 0-1 the count. So 0-1 the count. So 0-1 the count with 2 down. Hayes trying to work out of the inning. The shutout has gone away. Line drive to right field, but Reimer races back, makes the play, and Templeton hits it on the nose, but right at the right fielder. And the third out of the inning is recorded. For the defenders, 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. To the top of the fourth inning we go. Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with more after this.
Proactive Physical Therapy and Sports Rehab when the aches and pains won't go away. Visit proactivephysicaltherapy.net when you want to get back to the activities you love.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Ployne Publishing, quality printing from design to delivery. Today's broadcast brought to you by 712 Realty, a team of realtors in Northwest Iowa with the drive, care, and results you need to buy or sell your home. Visit them online, 712realty.com, leading you home. Today's broadcast brought to you by Volink Enterprises Incorporated, building homes for families and businesses in Northwest Iowa since 1962. Let's work together to bring your vision into reality. Volink Enterprises Incorporated.
And today's live stream broadcast brought to you by Verhoof Automotive. Verhoof Automotive in Sioux Center is your local Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chevrolet, and Buick dealer. Verhoof Automotive, worth the drive from anywhere.
Top of the fourth inning, jumping on the first pitch was DeVessery. Left side, under it, third baseman makes the play, Templeton, for the first out of the inning in foul territory. So Reimer retired on the foul fly out for out number one. That'll bring up DeVessery. Well, we told you softball is happening over on the field here at Open Space Park. Dordt leads 2-1. Track and field, they're underway with Mount Marty. That invite, Matt Boss will be wrapping that up later today, giving us all the results. And then the intrepid Matt Boss will be off to Drake Stadium for his favorite weekend of the year. Pitch is in for a called strike. 0-2 the count. Nothing into the count with one out. One out in the inning. And here's the pitch from Fitzgibbons. Fitzgibbons inserted in relief. He comes on for Lincoln Vandermolen. Lincoln ended up going 3 innings. Credited with 3 innings, pitched in 4. Struck out 5, and this one's lined into center field. That's going to caught by the shortstop, Twombly. Twombly over the shoulder catch. Thought that one was going to drop in, but DeVessery is retired on the soft line out to the shortstop for out number 2. And that'll bring Schmid to the plate. So Lincoln Vandermolen, as I was saying, 3 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. J.T. Fitzgibbons recorded the first 2 outs. And Schmid comes to the plate. First pitch is outside. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. Padilla waits in the on-deck circle. Fitzgibbons, this is his 8th appearance. He has now thrown 7 2/3, and a diving grab by Twombly at shortstop for the 3rd out of the inning. So Twombly records 2 of the outs with fielding gems, and we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Our score, Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with more after this.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Snyder Insurance and Financial Group of Sioux Center, offering life, health, Medicare supplements, annuities, and more. Trusted service and exceptional products with you in mind since 1973. Looking for top-notch rental equipment for your next project? Look no further than Rental, located in Sioux Center, Spencer, Storm Lake, and Sioux Falls. Rental, your regional equipment rental experts. Visit them online, rental.com, or call 712-722-3928. NewTek is your partner for success when purchasing equipment for construction, manufacturing, agriculture, and other industries. Don't miss the opportunity to transform your business and redefine your productivity standards with NewTek. This broadcast brought to you by the Ullman Funeral Homes. Chad Ullman, Lori Ewell, and Taylor Van Witchell providing professional attention to every detail. Today's broadcast brought to you by M&H True Value of Rock Valley. Behind every project is True Value. Start right. Start here.
Drew Oreskes jumps on the first pitch and a ground ball out. Padilla retired. I beg your pardon. Oreskes retired 4-3 for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring McMillan to the plate. McMillan, right fielder. 0 for 1 today, or here in game number 2. 1 for 2 in game 1. And here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike one. 0-1 the count. Nothing and 1 the count with one out. Pitches down to the dirt. Ball one. 1-1. So 1-1 the count with one down in the inning. And here's the pitch inside. Ball 2. 2-1. So 2-1 the count with one down in the inning. So 2-1 pitch. Here it is. Swung on, hit in the air, right side. Second baseman calling for it. Bryant makes the play, and McMillan is retired on the pop out to the second baseman for out number 2. And that'll bring Schlesselman to the plate. Hayes has worked 3 2/3 innings. Has surrendered 1 run on 4 hits. Over at the softball field, they're in the 3rd inning. 2-1 Dordt leads. And pitch misses outside. Ball 1. 1-0 the count. Well, Lauren Steenstra over on the softball field, she had a home run. She is now the single season record holder in home runs for Dordt softball with 13. Pitches down to the dirt. Ball 2. 2-0 the count. Passes Ashton Beard in the process. 2-0 the count with 2 down. Beard, that was 11 years ago already that she hit those dozen home runs. Here's the pitch. In there for a called strike. 2-1 the count. Beard probably as good a power hitter as the defenders have had. But Lauren Steenstra very steadily after a slow start. She's put together a good season. Batting over 300. Looked at those numbers yesterday. 13 home runs now. 2 more RBI to tack to her total. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung on a line drive up the middle and a base hit for the defenders and Schlesselman. And that'll bring Logan Harris. Logan Harris will come up. Harris, a junior. Got to think it'll help Logan Harris next year if he can stay healthy. That injury early this spring, actually late winter, really slowed him up. 2 down in the inning. This is the final home stand for the defenders, final home date on the schedule. Ground ball, third base side, foul ball. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. Defenders with their losses last weekend to Concordia as well, eliminated from the playoff hunt. They and Hastings trying to play the role of spoiler from here on out. 0-1 the count with 2 down. And here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. Nothing into the count with 2 down in the inning. And Hayes into the wind. Here's the pitch. Low and away. Throw over to first base. Not in time. Diving back in safely was Schlesselman. And Schlesselman gets up slowly. So 1-2 the count with 2 down. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Dordt trailing 9-1. Harris awaiting the delivery. Swung on, ground ball, shortstop backhands it. He has no play, though, and Harris reaches on the infield single. Ball was knocked down by Padilla, but he had no chance to get Harris at first base. And that'll bring up Demers. Demers with 2 down in the inning. Dordt trailing 9-1. Couple of runners on, though. Get a couple of runs here. Chip away. Try to stay close. Runners at first and second. From the stretch is Hayes. And here's the pitch. Outside corner, strike 1, 0-1 the count. So 0-1 the count with 2 down in the inning. So 0-1 the count with 2 down in the frame. From the stretch, here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. So 0-2 the count to Demers. Demers singled in his last at bat. McFarland ran for him and eventually scored. Dort's lone run back in the 3rd inning. So 0-2 the count with 2 down. And here's the pitch. Misses outside, ball 1, 1-2. So 1-2 the count with 2 down. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Briar Cliff 6 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third for their 9. And here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Demers goes down swinging. And that is strikeout number 6. For Hayes, and out number 3 of the frame. No runs, a couple of hits, no errors, 2 left. To the top of the 5th inning we go. Briar Cliff leads 9-1. Back with more after this.
Broadcast brought to you by the Van Engelen-Hoven Agency, your trusted independent insurance agency in Northwest Iowa. Contact the Van Engelen-Hoven Agency, Sioux Center Advisors, Mark Hulsoff, Lisa Dykstra, or Kyle Blankers. Today's broadcast brought to you by Cruz & Cruz, PC, certified public accountants, offices in Sioux Center and Lars. Helping you attain your financial goals is their commitment. Today's broadcast brought to you by Joyner and Dordt Dentistry, providing implants, dentures, and dental care for your whole family in a modern and friendly atmosphere. Today's broadcast brought to you by 712 Nutrition. Transform your health and wellness with 712 Nutrition. Stop in today for healthy, delicious protein shakes bundled with a supportive community. Start feeling your best today.
First pitch from Fitzgibbons is a ball to Padilla. So ball 1-0 the count. That's in for a called strike, 1-1. So Fitzgibbons working into his second inning. His team trailing 9-1. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball. Outside corner. Strike two, 1-2 the count. So Fitzgibbons worked an uneventful fourth inning and now hits the batter. So Padilla takes one off of the left shoulder and he'll trot over to first base.
Now batting number 3.
That'll bring Trujillo to the plate. Dordt softball has just gone up 5-1 in that game. Lauren Steenstra single to help that cause. 9-1 our score. Here's the pitch. Up high, ball one. So ball one, 1-0 the count with nobody out. Breaking ball misses. Ball two. 2-0. So 2-0 the count with nobody out. Runner on first base. And here's the pitch, swung on and turned into the right field corner and unable to make the catch. And Trujillo with a single to right field. I beg your pardon. Yes, Trujillo with the single. So Padilla was hit by a pitch. Trujillo singles to right field. Would have been a fantastic play by the right fielder McMillan, but McMillan unable to make the sliding grab. And now with nobody out, Briar Cliff looking for more. They're already up 9-1. Bryant batting. And this one's pushed third base side and a bunt for a single. Now the throw over to third base and Fitzgibbons. Fitzgibbons comes over and covers the bag. And did they get the runner? So the runner, I think, actually overran the bag, Padilla. So that'll go as a single for Bryant as he bunts his way on. Trujillo is safe at second, and Padilla is retired.
Now batting number 6.
5-1 at third base. One out in the inning. So Marquardt will come to the plate with runners on first and second for the Chargers, and one out now. Fitzgibbons into the wind. Swung on ground ball. Fielded by Twombly over to Schlesselman for one. On to first for the double play. And the Dordt defenders sidestep trouble. 4-6-3, the double play. And Briarcliff is retired. No runs, couple of hits, no errors. And they leave one on base. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning. Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with more after this.
This is Jennifer Jansen at Epic Realty. At Epic Realty, we take pride in providing professional real estate services with integrity and expertise. Give us a call or stop by our Sioux Center office and visit our website at epichomerealty.com.
Premier Bank is proud to support Dordt University. Visit epremierbank.com for locations and more information. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
So the Dordt defenders get out of the inning with a double play, and now Jimmy Twombly will come to the plate here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Dordt trailing 9-1. And it'll be Twombly, Belcher, and Kerr due up. Here's the pitch. Outside, ball one. 1-0 the count. Twombly 0 for 3 in game one. He's 0 for 2 here in game two. And that pitch is a ball. 2-0 the count. Hayes working into the fifth inning. And for Hayes, he's thrown just 60 pitches up to this point. And here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air. This one's going to drift out of play, and the count goes to 2-1. So 2-1 the count. So the baseball team will not make the postseason. The softball team still in hopes of making the 8-team field, and in all likelihood they'll head to either Midland or Northwestern. Those appear to be the two that have the inside track to one of the top two seeds. But it is softball, and you just never know. So 3-1 the count with nobody out. And here's the pitch to Belcher, and checks his swing. Strike two, nothing. 3-2 the count. So 3-2 the count. Midland and Morningside are actually tied. They're actually tied for second place in softball. This one fouled off of Belcher's foot. Softball remaining schedule for that team for Morningside. They play at Dakota Wesleyan. So those games are not a slam dunk. Midland 16-4, tied with them. Here's the pitch. Outside ball 4 and the walk is issued. So Twombly reaches on the base on balls. And that'll bring Carson Belcher to the plate. Midland, their 2 games remaining in softball, they face Mount Marty. And those are at home. Northwestern, after today, could have wrapped up at least a share of the conference championship. They're playing Waldorf. And it looks like Northwestern has improved to 18-2 now with 2 games remaining, so they have at least a share of the championship. 0-1 the count to Belcher. Belcher with a couple of singles to his credit so far. Left fielder swung on, hit in the air, left side. That one's going to drift out of play. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. Northwestern, they're looking to wrap up the conference title outright when they play Briar Cliff on Saturday in Sioux City. That's in softball. Swung on and hammered foul. And the count remains 0-2 to Belcher. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Dordt got their run in the 3rd. So far, the line for Dordt: 1 run, 6 hits. Briarcliff 9-13. This one fouled off of Belcher's foot. Count remains 0-2. Dordt softball team looks poised to win game 1. They've got the substantial 5-1 lead in the 4th inning. Long ways to go, obviously. Trying to get to the 20-win plateau. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed. Strike 3, and that is strikeout number 7. Out number 1, and that'll bring DJ Kerr to the plate. Kerr singled in a run in his last at-bat. So 1 out in the inning. Runner at first base is Twombly. He gets his lead. Here's the pitch. Swung on, fouled back to the netting. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. So 0-1 the count with 1 down in the inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. So 0-2 the count with 1 down in the inning. And this one hit high in the air, and that's going to drift out of play. So 0-2 the count with 1 out in the inning. Hayes comes down off of the mound. Gets the ball from Marquardt. 0-2 the count with 1 out. Slight breeze coming in from center field out of the northwest. That's going to lead to some cooler temps over the next couple of days. Swing and a miss by Kerr. Strike 3. Strikeout number 8 for Hayes, and out number 2 of the inning. And that'll bring Templeton to the plate. Templeton 0 for 2 today. 0 for 5 combined in the 2 games, so he's due. Two outs in the inning. Pitch is outside. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. So 1-0 the count with 2 down in the inning. Hayes from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Outside corner, strike one. 1-1 the count. A little bit of a delayed strike call that time. So 1-1 the count with 2 down in the inning. And here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air, right side. Right fielder Reimer under it, drifting, makes the play near the line. And Templeton is retired for the 3rd out of the inning. The defenders retired, no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. We head to the top of the 6th inning. Our score, Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with more from Open Space Park in Sioux Center right after this.
Nation, my name is Darren Kaiser, and I'm excited to serve as the new athletic director at Dordt University. Thank you for tuning into the Dordt Media Network and supporting Defender Athletics. As an athletic department, we are committed to the Defender way. This means we are committed to the Great Commission, developing servant leaders, the academic development of our student athletes, and the pursuit of championships. I'm eager to join with you in supporting our athletes this year. Thank you for watching Defender Athletics on the Dordt Media Network. Go Defenders!
Hey Defender Nation, did you know that Dordt Athletics has over 700 student athletes that make up less than 50% of the student body? We want to invite you to join the Defender Gold Club and support those student athletes, our staff, and coaches this season. Your charitable donation helps advance Defender Athletics and the Defender Way. Last year, we were just shy of 900 members in the Defender Gold Club. Help us reach that 1,000 member mark this year. By becoming a member, you will directly support the student athletes and coaches here at Dordt University. Thanks for watching. Go Defenders!
Want to know the count as we resume play. Saul, Newbeck, and Reimer due up for the Chargers. Chargers lead it 9-1. Briarcliff has 2 games remaining. They've got to play Waldorf on Saturday. So Briarcliff, you look at it, and it's Wednesday today. I don't know how important those games will be for them at that point. But you could conceivably come back maybe on short rest with your pitchers that you used today. Saul takes a walk. Or do you just play it as it comes, and next week you know you're in the postseason? They know that they're there, and it's a Briarcliff Chargers. Basically, there's only 1 spot up for grabs yet in the baseball playoff field. As I stated earlier, that would take Dakota Wesleyan losing 4 and Waldorf winning 4. And in all honesty, the likelihood of that, I would say, is slim. Here's the pitch. Up high. Ball 1 to Newbeck. We have a a courtesy runner as well, or a pinch runner for Saul. Here's the pitch. And Newbeck. 1-1 the count. 7-1. Dordt leads in softball action. That pitch is a strike. 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count. With no one out, here's the pitch. Swung on, and that's laced into right field and gets away from the right fielder. Diving for it was McMillan. McMillan kept it close. Throw to second and holds the runner with a single. So Newbeck with a single, and the runner advances over to third in the process. So with nobody out, Cam Reimer will come to the plate. And Jared Jones makes his way out of the dugout to talk things over with his pitcher and catcher, Fitzgibbons and Demers. So 9-1 our score. The conference breaks up. So 1-0 the count with nobody out. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike one. 1-1 the count to Reimer. So nobody out. Briar Cliff threatening, though, here in the top half of the 6th inning. And that pitch, Reimer is hit by the pitch. So runners all the way around. And coming to the plate now for Briar Cliff will be Clayton Lewitt, number 8. So we have a pinch hitter. Clayton Lewitt will come to the plate. Lewitt batting with his team up 9-1. And nobody out. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike one. 0-1 the count. Clayton Lewitt, this is just his 4th game played, his 4th at bat. He's got a couple of doubles and 2 RBI. So 0-2 the count to Lewitt. So he's batting for DeVessery. Swung on, hit high in the air. That's going to be behind the plate, and making the play right against the netting is the catcher, Demers. And he's retired on the play for the first out of the inning on the pop-out in foul territory. For out number 1. And that'll bring Damon Schmid to the plate. So Schmid batting with 1 out and the bases still loaded. Now the defenders need a double play. Get out of the inning. They've gotten a couple today. In fact, got one to end the 5th inning. Swung on, hit high in the air. Twombly looks like he's got it. Wind playing with it a little bit. Camps on under it. Makes the play. And Schmidt is retired on the pop out to the shortstop for out number 2. And that'll bring Padilla to the plate. So Padilla will step in with the bases still loaded, but now 2 outs. Over on the softball field, it's 7-1 now, defenders. For the Dordt Defender softball team, couple of wins, and they wrap up a spot in the postseason. That'll begin next Wednesday, 1 week from today. How the softball bracketing works is you have a double elimination 4-team bracket. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, hit in the air, center field. Logan Harris chasing under it. And Harris makes the play, and Padilla is retired for the 3rd out of the inning. No runs, a hit, a walk, and a hit batsman, and no errors. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Our score, Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with the bottom of the 6th right after this.
At Dordt, we strive to build community from before you step foot on campus to years after you graduate. We want to give Dordt students the chance to live and learn together and create meaningful, lifelong relationships that are rooted in faith. Connect to others in purposeful relationships at Dordt University.
In the Dome, we have a space available for 2 full-size softball fields. However, this space is also utilized by the football, baseball, and soccer teams, as well as for other various athletic events. Another great thing about the American State Bank Sports Complex is that it's not just for Dordt athletes. It's for the entire community, whether that's high school soccer leagues, open turf time, or even a space for intramurals. Hope you stop by soon.
Nine to 1 our score. Drew Araskis to lead things off for Dordt. Araskis 0 for 2 here in game 2. Hits it on the nose, and that's going to be extra bases for Araskis. Araskis takes the turn at first. He's headed to second, and he's in standing up with a leadoff double for the defenders here in the home half of the 6th inning, trailing 9 to 1. That'll bring Matt McMillan to the plate for Araskis. That is Drew's 9th double of the season. Designated hitter. Dealt with some back issues from what I understand this season, and that has limited his ability to play in the field. So he gets his first base hit of the day after going 0 for 2 in game 1. Swing and a miss by McMillan. Strike 1, nothing in 1 the count. Hayes, this is his 6th inning of work. He has thrown 78 pitches, 60 of them for strikes. Swing and a miss, strike 2, nothing in 2 the count. He's been ahead in the count almost throughout. 21 hits combined by the two teams. Briarcliff with 14 of them, Dordt with 7. No errors. 4 free passes issued by the defenders. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And McMillan is the 9th strikeout victim for Hayes. Brings Joey Schlesselman to the plate. Schlesselman singled. That was back in the 4th inning. And the Dordt softball team, they win by the 8-run difference rule in game 1 with Briarcliff. Nine to 1 our score. So 1-0 the count to Schlesselman. Here's the pitch. That's misses. Ball 2, 2-0. So 2-0 the count with 1 out. And Schlesselman awaits the delivery. Here's the pitch. Down low. Ball 3, 3-0. So 3-0 the count. With one down in the inning. And that pitch is in for a called strike. It's 3-1. 3-1 the count with one down. So the 3-1 pitch on the way from Hayes. In for a called strike two. It's 3-2. So 3-2 the count. Schlesselman trying to work for the walk that time. Thought he had inside pitch. Called a strike. And the count is full, 3-2. And here's the pitch. Swung on, fouled off. And the count remains full at 3-2. Well, that softball game played in a snappy 61 minutes. Going to end up with overcast skies here in Open Space Park for the duration of the day, it appears. Or the remainder of the day. We had sunshine earlier. 3-2 pitch. Swung on, hit in the air right side, drifting foul. Saul giving chase, and Saul lets it go out of play. Well, this will bring to a conclusion the Dordt Media Network broadcasts on campus. Another year in the books. I believe year 7 for the full-blown Dordt Media Network productions. Thank you to Rich Lodewijk and the group that he has put together in making that happen. Not a small endeavor by any means. Takes many people to pull these off, and they make it look pretty easy. 3-2 the count with one out. Schlesselman 1 for 3 in game 1, 1 for 2 today, so 2 for 5 combined with a couple of RBI. See if he can get a base hit here and knock one more in. 9-1 our score. Here's the pitch. That's in, misses. Ball 4 and the walk is issued. So a base on balls. Araskis at second base, and now brings Logan Harris up with a chance to do some damage, and we have a mound visit for the Chargers. We have action in the Briar dugout, and it looks like that's going to be all for Hayes. Hayes will leave, and Hayes, a pretty good outing. 5 1/3 innings through 90 pitches. Gave up 1 run on 7 hits, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Faced 25 batters through those 5 1/3 innings. And now the Briarcliff Chargers, a new player coming in. Looks like that is Owen Lester, number 25. He'll come on in relief. And while he warms up, we'll take a break, and we'll be back with more from Open Space Park right after this. Nuts. One out in the inning. Logan Harris batting. So runners on first and second for the defenders, and ground ball by Harris, backhanded by the shortstop. He'll get the lead runner at third. So Harris hits into a fielder's choice. He reaches. Oreskes is retired. So it's 9-1 with 2 down in the inning. Harris hits into the fielder's choice. That goes 6-5. So the lead runner retired. So still runners at first and second for the defenders, and that'll bring Demers to the plate. Demers struck out in his last at-bat, also has a single to his credit. It's 9-1. Defenders trailing. And here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. So Owen Lester, this is his 14th appearance. 21 innings pitched. 0-2 this season. 16 strikeouts and 13 walks. Count is 1-2 to Demers. Well, can you make something happen here against the Briarcliff bullpen? Got runners at first and second. You got 4 outs to work with. You just got to get a couple and see what happens. 1-2 the count. Swung on, hit in the air, right side. That one's going to drift out of play. And the count remains 1-2. Stating the obvious here, there is no clock in baseball. You got to get the final out. It's kind of like volleyball. You got to get that final point. Can't just simply stall it out. 1-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Misses outside. Ball 2, 2-2. Demers is 1 for 2 in game 2. Runs scored back in the third. Came after a single. 2-2 pitch on the way with 2 down. Swung on, driven in the air, right field. Looks like Reimer has a bead on it, though. Makes the play, and Demers is retired on the fly out to right for out number 3. So the defenders are retired. No runs, a hit, no errors, and they strand 2. We go to the top of the 7th inning. Our score, Briarcliff 9, Dordt 1. Back with the top of the 7th inning right after this.
Biblical truth shapes Dordt's worldview, giving students the wisdom to serve God and neighbor through their work and in their daily lives. Do all that God has created you to do at Dordt University.
Today's Dordt Media Network livestream broadcast is produced by the students of Dordt University. Thanks for watching.
Diego Trujillo to lead things off for the Chargers, leading 9-1, and the Chargers 3 outs away on defense from getting a split here this afternoon. First pitch from Chance Laswell is a ball. Laswell, 7th appearance. He's got 5 innings pitched thus far, 3.60 earned run average. Swung on a line drive into right field for a base hit. So Trujillo with a single. That will bring Bryant to the plate. So Bryant will step in with a runner on first base. And nobody out. Bryant so far today, 0 for 3 in game 1. Has come back 2 for 4 in game 2. Here's the pitch. Down in the dirt. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. So 1-0 the count. Briarcliff's been in charge since the first inning when they scored 6. Pitch is in for a called strike, 1-1 the count. Take that first inning away, and this is a really pretty competitive baseball game. But you could probably say the same thing about game number 1, when Dordt scored 5 in the first, 4 of them unearned to capitalize and get the win. So 2-1 the count. And that pitch misses outside. Ball 3. 3-1 the count. And that one fouled off and out of play. So full count to Bryant. Marquardt waits in the on-deck circle with our count full. Ground ball, backhanded. Twombly throws over to second to get the lead runner, so Bryant hits into the fielder's choice. Trujillo is retired 6-4 for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring Marquardt to the plate. Marquardt batting with the runner on first base in the form of Bryant. So Bryant reaches for the third time, but that'll count as an out. Soft line drive, third baseman up with it, throws over to first. Ooh, I thought they got him, but the man in blue says no. So Marquardt line out to third for the second out. Bryant races back in. I thought they had him by a step. I thought Bryant strayed too far off of the bag, and Templeton came up with a strong throw. So 2 down in the inning. Here's the pitch. And Laswell's effectiveness may be in a game where he comes in and just gives something different for the opponent to look at. 1-0 the count with 2 down. Here's the pitch. In there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Defensively, Dordt has stuck with what they started with. Laswell is the 4th pitcher for the defenders. And here's the pitch. That one's down in the dirt, keeping it relatively close as Demers and Briarcliff. Bryant not going anywhere at first base at this point, leading 9-1. Don't want to risk the out at second base. That ball going closer, actually, to second from where Demers blocked it. So got to make that decision almost immediately. Pitch is a ball, 3-1. There was a coach in the conference not that long ago. His rule of thumb was anything in the dirt, you're moving. Pitch is up high and tight, ball 4, and the walk is issued. So Saul reaches. His reasoning was so many things have to go right. Why not try it? Newback. And his team had a fair amount of success doing it. 2 down in the inning. Nothing to win the count with 2 down. First pitch to Newback is a strike. Nothing to win the count with 2 down. From the stretch is Lasswell. Here's the pitch, lifted high in the air, left center field. It's going to end up being Belcher's. Belcher reaches up, makes the play, and Newback is retired for the 3rd out of the inning. Briar Cliff gets a couple of base runners. They get no runs on 1 hit. They strand a couple. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Last chance for the defenders. Due up. It'll be Twombly, Belcher, and Kerr when we resume play right after this. Ground ball right side. Fighting it off is Christensen, and then that's going to tie the game. Jimmy Twombly to lead things off for the defenders. Owen Lester trying to finish things off for Briar Cliff. He would not be involved in the decision. Twombly golfs this one into the air. Schmid is under it. Schmid now jogging in, makes the play. Had to run a little bit more at the end than I had thought initially, and Belcher will come to the plate. So Carson Belcher coming to the plate. Dordt trailing 9-1. Well, barring something out of the ordinary, the defenders are going to leave today 18-30. So they'll get their full complement of 50 games in. I had thought they were at 49, but they'll be at 50 when it's all said and done. Softball team's going to be one shy of the limit. Belcher takes a strike, 1-1 the count. Defenders will be 7-19 in league play, while the Chargers will go to 15-11 with 2 games left. They'll be a game above 500 overall as well. All that assuming this one finishes as we think it will. 2-1 the count to Belcher. DJ Kerr waits in the on-deck circle. 9-1 our score. Here's the pitch. Outside, ball 3, 3-1. Belcher so far today, a couple of singles and a strikeout. So 3-2 the count with 1 down in the inning. Belcher 1 for 2 in the first game with a run scored. 2 for 3 here in game 2, so a combined 3 for 5. Lifts this one in the air left side. DeVassery is going to make the play for the second out of the inning. And that'll bring DJ Kerr to the plate. Kerr has an RBI single to his credit. So the Defenders down to the final out. Defenders will be at Waldorf on Friday to conclude the season. Here's the pitch. I would imagine the Defenders will go with Jared Hughes and Daniel Butine pitching for those two games. And it'll be all hands on deck, I would imagine. Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air right side, and DJ Kerr, that's going to be a foul out. And DJ Kerr retired on the pop out to the catcher in foul territory for out number 3. The Defenders are retired. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left in the 7th inning. That's going to do it for our in-game broadcast. We'll be back with the Wireless World post-game show right after this.
Dordt Media Network broadcast, brought to you by Cruise & Cruise PC, certified public accountants. Offices in Sioux Center and Lamars, helping you attain your financial goals is their commitment.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Snyder Insurance and Financial Group of Sioux Center, offering life, health, Medicare supplements, annuities, and more. Trusted service and exceptional products with you in mind since 1973. Today's broadcast brought to you by Joyner and Dordt Dentistry, providing implants, dentures, and dental care for your whole family in a modern and friendly atmosphere. Today's broadcast brought to you by the Van Engelen-Hoven Agency, your trusted independent insurance agency in Northwest Iowa. Contact the Van Engelen-Hoven Agency, Sioux Center Advisors, Mark Hulsoff, Lisa Dykstra, or Kyle Blankers. Today's broadcast brought to you by Sioux Concrete Construction, Rob Sioux and owner, excelling in flat work, poured walls, and decorative concrete projects, dedicated to providing customers with a good experience and quality workmanship. SiouxConcrete.com.
Dordt, we strive to build community from before you step foot on campus to years after you graduate. We want to give Dordt students the chance to live and learn together and create meaningful, lifelong relationships that are rooted in faith. Connect to others in purposeful relationships at Dordt University.
Hey Defender Nation, my name is Darren Kaiser and I'm excited to serve as the new athletic director at Dordt University. Thank you for tuning into the Dordt Media Network and supporting Defender Athletics. As an athletic department, we are committed to the Defender way. This means we are committed to the Great Commission, developing servant leaders, the academic development of our student athletes, and the pursuit of championships. I'm eager to join with you in supporting our athletes this year. Thank you for watching Defender Athletics on the Dordt Media Network. Go Defenders!
Welcome back to Open Space Park in Sioux Center, Iowa, where Briar defeats Dordt in Game 2 of the doubleheader 9-1. Final line for Briar 9 runs, 15 hits, no errors. Dordt 1 run, 7 hits, no errors. And things were determined fairly early in this one. Briar 6 runs in the first inning. And from there, pretty evenly played baseball game. Briar gets the win as Nick Hayes picks up his 5th win of the season. He goes 5 1/3, gives up 1 run on 7 hits, walked 2 and struck out 9 for Dordt. Their relief pitchers, J.T. Fitzgibbons, goes 3 innings. He gave up no runs on 3 hits, walked 1. Lincoln Vandermolen, he went 3 innings after getting the save in game number 1. He went another 3 innings in game 2, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, struck out 5. The Defenders, offensively, Carson Belcher, multi-hit game for them as he went 2 for 4. And the RBI was credited to DJ Kerr. He had an RBI single. So it is time to select our Ross Hoekstra State Farm Player of the Game. Brought to you by Ross Hoekstra, serving Sioux County and the tri-state area. Call Ross 712-722-0806 for all your insurance needs. Stop by the Sioux Center office next to Dairy Queen. State Farm player of the game today is Carson Belcher. He goes 2 for 4 at the plate, and 2 of Dordt's 7 hits. So that's going to do it for the home portion of the Dordt schedule. The Defenders are now 18-30, entering their final doubleheader of the season. They'll be at Waldorf in Forest City. They'll take a 7-19 conference mark into that contest, while Briar Cliff improves to 22-21, and they are 15-11 in the conference. They will also play Waldorf on Saturday to conclude the regular season. That is going to do it for our broadcast, and that is the Wireless World postgame show. For Matt Boss and Rich Lodewijk, I'm Mike Biker. Have a good afternoon.